So I got the 026 all torn apart and the new piston has arrived. I picked up a Meteor piston. It was 30 bucks off Amazon. So we'll see how this thing works. I've never replaced a piston in a chainsaw yet. I typically do the lawnmower stuff, so this is new to me, but I've watched some videos. Now I'm making my own, so we'll see what happens. So here it is, meteorpiston.com. I bought it off of H&L Supply, I believe. But here's all the part numbers you need if you've got an 026. I don't know what else it fits, but just take a look at these numbers. It's a cute little piston. Getting this tiny little box in the mail was just amazing. And they also send you the pin to hook it up to the connecting rod, and then 2 new clips for the ends to hold it in place there. And then also 2 rings. So ooh, those are made in Italy. How can they sell them so cheap? Yeah, this piece too, Italy. I don't know, is this stuff made in Italy? I just assumed China. Well, you know what? I might not be the smartest person in the world, but green, white, and red, that looks like the Italian flag to me. So maybe this whole thing is made in Italy. Or maybe they just pretend and have some made in Italy and then others maybe in China. Who knows? Let's put it together. So my camera was full of memory, and everything I did showing you how I got that piston in didn't actually record. So this is me trying to get it started with just an Amazon Carb in there, and it's just not working right. 'Today I picked up some parts for my Stihl 026. I got from Hipa, a little baby carburetor, and this one has the high and the low. It also came with a little fuel line, fuel filter, spark plug, 2 gaskets that everyone says you don't need. So I don't know if I fully believe that yet. I've had nothing but problems with my 026 ever since I got it. So first time, right when I pulled it, 10 or 11 pulls, it never did that pop. It just suddenly fired and revved like crazy. And so I messed with the carburetor real quick, and I got it so it wasn't revving as much, and the chain wasn't going while it was revving and idling, but it was smoking a ton, and I was like, okay, you know what, I need to this carburetor clearly just needs to be cleaned. So I looked at the carb, and I was like, you know what, I think it just needs a new carb. So I picked up a different carb, and that was even worse. That smoked like it was I don't even know what was happening. So I pulled the piston. It was a compression thing, maybe the rings were bad, I don't know. So I took pictures of it, put it online, and people were saying, oh yeah, your piston is scored and it's bad. And I'm like, I don't think it is. There are a couple little marks on it, but nothing crazy. Anyway, I got a new Meteor piston for it, and now it's having a harder time starting at all. So I'm hoping some of this stuff from this kit will help. Anyway, sorry, back to this. Air filter. And I believe this is the impulse line. Not 100% sure because I haven't torn these apart yet. But the instructions or the online stuff says that this is an oil line. But I kind of think when you push the carb on, I think this is the part that goes right into there maybe. Or maybe it really is in the oil side, I don't know. But then it said it also had an oil filter, so there's that. So maybe, it doesn't look like that would fit very well. Anyway, we'll see what we can do here today. Well, let's start yanking some of this apart here. Yeah, I don't know. Most of these Stihls that I've had, I'm getting them used because I like tinkering with stuff. I like working on things and taking something that's not working and get it working. But I feel like this is just kind of getting stupid. I have better luck with my Craftsman. You know, I pay $200 for something and it seems to me like it's done really well. So these are 5/16 bolts right here. I got a regular slotted, sorry, this table is bouncing all over the place. And hold on to the handle because it's spring loaded. Something will come popping out. All right, so that's got that mechanism and the handle. That goes up inside. Show you how to get that back on later. So you gotta just kind of pry this thing. Find a spot that's not gonna damage anything too badly. Get it moving. All right, now we've got the fuel line right here. Gotta pop that off. There we go. So one major thing I'm noticing already, well, first let me just show you on this piece just sticks back in there. It's pretty easy to figure out how it goes once you get the other one back and going. So the new carburetor looks very similar, but it has that big thing on it. So that's interesting. Everything else looks pretty much the same. And once again, this is the Hipa brand. I don't even know what brand this one was. Not sure. So, yeah. Now, one thing I noticed too, this thing keeps popping out. Well, you know what? Okay, there's my impulse line. That is definitely not the same as this thing, so. So why is this popping out? So pushing that back in, trying not to do it too hard. And I feel like this has to twist a little bit maybe, because that has to come around. Okay, so I think it's like this, where you can see if you can see the point down here, like you got a straight edge kind of going that way with the point right here in the front. So, all right, let's try this new carb here. Just making sure these appear to work the same way. Okay, so another difference here. This one has a hole at the top for this big piece. So we're gonna try it. And you know what? They say that it's set from the factory, so I'm not even messing with these screws yet. We'll just see what happens. Let's just see. Okay, so I got to get this linkage piece back here. Just kind of push that forward, slide this back like that. And then once we can tell if it's set up right, because it has to tie into the trigger. So once it's on there, just don't worry too much about it. All right, so kind of keep this piece. It's got a hook down here, so we're gonna keep this coming frontwards. And then just line up the holes for those bolts. There we go. We don't want to lose this piece. And so we got that. Just push it straight back. You can see way back there the impulse line. Looks like it's lining up. And then we gotta wedge this piece. I'm gonna pull it out just a little bit. Maybe. Okay, the fuel line. I'm gonna connect it. Push it on there. take my flashlight here. So yeah, that piece looks like it went right into the impulse line, so that looks good. And the fuel line piece is still pushed in. It hasn't popped out again. All right. Get it back on here. And that's still on, that's good. I need that linkage. Okay. So this linkage now, turn this saw a little bit so you can see. In the trigger down here, we've got a little hole. And the linkage is going to fit right in there. And then this spring comes down. That's what you got to be careful of too, though. That thing will want to snap off. I don't know that I have any tricks for that, because one time when I was trying it, it seemed like it was just staying together, no problem. And then another time, it just kept popping out. So I'm going to just use one finger to hold everything right there. This piece goes right here. Well, and there's underneath here, the little spring fits in that little spot. So once you pop this in here, you make sure that the spring fits right under that little piece. And as long as you keep your fingers kind of like that, you'll be fine. Now this has a slot in it right here, and that linkage piece also has to fit in that. But first, this little tab has to be pushed in here. It's pretty obvious where it goes. And I just lost it. So just be patient, you'll get it. I've done this a few times. And it can be frustrating, but it'll work. There we go. And that's how you can test it, you know. Push the top down, squeeze your trigger, and you can see it going. So now, turn it on its side again. This will tell me if it's leaking again. Doesn't look like it is yet. And then take this screw. Up and under. Okay. So just for kicks, I'm gonna I'm going to throw this on here as well. Just line it up with the carburetor. And with that little hole. And I'll drop a link in the description for the Hipa carburetor. And I will end up putting that new fuel line in and the fuel filter. And next time I need a new spark plug, I will throw that plug in too. If you guys aren't sure how this part works, check this out. Most people know that on a Stihl, to start it, you know, you push down on this piece, pull the trigger, and then push down to get choke. But when you push down, what it's doing, this black piece is engaging this white piece. So if I pop it back out, and if I do it again, watch the little white piece and the black piece there. It's hard to do left-handed. Let's see how that popped it up. So what that does, it uses a piece in the air filter to choke off the carburetor. So I can show you on this one. That little lever's right here. As it gets pushed up, that chokes it off. Kind of cool. Fun design. All right, well, let's see what happens. Let's see if this will start. I hope it does, but I might have another issue. I'm not sure. Well, that popped first time. It's popping. Well, I was excited at first until it's dripping a bunch of bar oil and it's got tons of black nasty coming out of there. What is happening? Oh well. I guess that's for another video. But the Hipa carburetor actually got it to fire up pretty easily. Instead of going down to the first non-choke position, I was flipping it all the way off. So then I was trying to start it with it in the off position a couple times. So, I mean, that fired right up with choke on. I don't know what it's doing now. I'm gonna have to ask the real experts. Try to help me out. Comment for me if you know what it's doing. In the meantime, I'll be doing some Googling searches myself. You know what I just thought? The 026s, the Pros, this one's a Pro model, they oil continuously while the chain is going, or I'm sorry for that long gap. You might have thought the video froze. I forget now if it's the Pro or the other one that is oiling all the time or only as you're giving it gas. And I feel like that's if the brake's off. So I just put the chain brake on there, and I'm gonna try to let it run for a little bit. I'm wondering if there was just a lot of nasty carbon in the muffler, and if that all just needs to get burnt off. I'm kind of hoping that's what that is. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So one problem, let me show you here. So it was running good now, and I think that there's a problem with the width of that air filter, because this is the different style that has the big opening for that extra port on there, and this one doesn't have that. The difference in the width is huge. So typically this is able just to go right on, however that fits. But now, because it's fatter, and maybe part of it is this piece, I think I'll see if I can cut that off. Well, they both have a piece right there. I don't know. Let me fiddle with it. So I think you could all see one of my bolts in the exhaust just popped off. I noticed when I put it on last time that it did not stick in there very well, and it was the longer one. There were two different lengths on that outside one. I don't know if the person that had it before me put the wrong one in, or it didn't feel stripped initially. I don't know. I'll probably just have to size it up, put a heli coil in or whatever. Something like that. But I mean, man, she's firing right up really easy now. One problem though is that, like I showed, I can't get this back piece on with that filter. So I'm gonna have to get the other carb that does not have that big piece on the top, because the size of those air filters are just totally different. So I could go in and maybe cut some of that. You know, I don't want to cut this piece, especially when this carburetor is like 15 bucks for all this stuff. I just reorder, order the correct carb for it, and that'll probably do it. But the Hipa carb is working great. It's firing right up. I need to adjust the carburetor a little bit here, but I'll do that on a different day. Okay, I just had a thought. I got that weird extra piece on here that's making this not fit right. So let's see if I can swap the tops. Because if I can swap the top pieces, then we'll be good to go. I think. Oh, I think I'm right. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, shoot, I gotta do all this stuff again too. You know what, I don't need to videotape this whole thing. Okay, this part has this big, I don't know, some kind of an extra air intake thing on the top. This one doesn't. This Stihl was the one I bought that matched the carburetor that I had on this 026 originally. It was, you know what, I'm gonna go grab that one too. So the one that came on this did not have the high adjuster, it just had the low one. And that is not, that's not desirable. People want to be able to adjust everything. Trying to focus here, 829 WT403A. Okay, so 403A is what I had on mine. And this is a Walbro. So, see how that piece matches this piece, the bottom. Instead of, it doesn't look anything like that. Well, hang on, let me get it turned around the right way. There. Doesn't look like that. It looks like that. But this one worked great. So I'm just gonna swap out this top piece with this top piece. I'm leaving this thing alone. I wanna rebuild this as the original at some point, but I wanna get it going first. So let's just pop that off and swap them out. Hopefully it'll work just fine. Do I really wanna? Of course, now all the gas comes pouring out. There we go. I was also thinking I might want to try to rebuild, I could try to rebuild the carb. The Walbro with parts from this Hipa. But I would rather just use the Hipa if it works and rebuild the Walbro later, even though the kit for the Walbro is going to cost probably, I think they're 30 bucks, maybe even more. And if that's the case, that's twice as much as the whole Hipa carburetor. So all right, so at least on this one, I need to make sure that needs to go that direction. Yes, okay. All right, let's get this guy on here. Shouldn't matter what direction that little weed pole is aimed at, I don't think. Because if it mattered, I believe they would make it really obvious and show you. They would explain it to you somewhere. Because it's out of stock. Oh. Really suck is if I do all this and then it doesn't work. That would make me very sad. Let me swap angles here. So I need to let you know at this point that my camera, my phone, also said it had no memory right now, and it just kind of stopped recording in a few minutes. So I'm going to give you the brief rundown. It worked just fine, popping that top piece off of that other one and replacing it where that big weird piece was. So the only problem with that is that you can't use the air filter that comes with it. So I threw on my old air filter. The back piece of the case fit just fine. It fired right up just like before. In fact, it fired up first pull, no problem, and it ran great. So I'm going to put a link in the description for the Hipa carburetor, and I think you can have confidence buying it. It seems like it's working great. It's starting right up.
Okay, so I was smart that
go
time.
for it.
And
Thanks for watching.